They did. They knew the levees would not withstand a bad storm. Experts, civil engineers, came in a decade before the storm hit and said, hey, this is not going to hold. These pumps that have kept the water out of the city for however many decades and decades, and the levees that have held for however many, I don't even know how long the levees were there. And they were like, yeah, okay, well, we won't worry about that right now. There was no funding put into infrastructure. There was nothing. Nothing was done to take it seriously. The Red Cross and the Louisiana state government embezzled $3 billion with a B dollars in Red Cross donations. And they did, and you're absolutely fucking right. They didn't tell us to evacuate because people ask why we didn't just leave. There's so many things that go into this, but when you have lived in the same area for 7 generations, and you always board up for the storm and protect yourselves for the storm and prepare like it's doomsday, right? They told us, shelter in place. Do not leave, do not evacuate, the storm's not gonna be that bad. Overnight, it turns, because when hurricanes hit land, they get weaker. Katrina was the anomaly. Katrina, the word they used was catastrophic. I can't, but it turned into a category 5. The biggest level of hurricane right before it hit land. And then there was a stampede. They said, get out of the city. You have to imagine New Orleans like New York. That's the only conceivable. It's a walkable city, and there is no public transit. No public transit. No, like, you say the streetcars, you're not getting anywhere on a fucking streetcar. The interstate's flooded. It was a bowl. We couldn't get in or out. Why do you live there? Why do you live in New Orleans? The city that was founded in 1600 and long before it was land. This was my native ancestors' land, my Louisiana native ancestors, their land. And the areas that my other ancestors who were enslaved or who were refugees, married and made homes and lived in those bayous and those swamps along that river. That's their livelihood. That is our livelihood. And they watched us die. They were like, okay, well, we're not going to offer you any. And that's why when people are like, okay, well, people are evacuating in Gaza. Do you have any idea how difficult it is to evacuate? Sure, I could grab my shit, I could get in the car, and I could leave right now. I have a car. I have a place to go. Even that. You don't understand. And I need you to look up, if you don't know, look up what happened to the patients in Memorial Hospital during Hurricane Katrina, and you will never look at humanity the same way again. I'm telling you, I know people personally whose family members were in those hospitals and nursing homes I know people whose family members bones are still boarded up in those houses with the X's on them and stuff. Everything I see is corruption. And I've talked about this before. I have heard from strangers and close loved ones that they heard bombs going off at the levees, blowing the levees to flood the lower income areas, like the lower 9th Ward, where my best friend's family lived, and their neighborhood doesn't exist anymore. It is a stone slab. And it obviously saved the French Quarter and the Garden Districts, which are tourist areas. Think about why the tourist areas of New Orleans recovered so quickly. People from outside, what I saw with people buying up land in the West Bank after it's been decimated, that is what happened after Katrina. People came in and snapped up that real estate and turned it into a bunch of gentrified bullshit. And people I know and love still can never go home because their home doesn't exist anymore. There are towns and cities that were wiped off the face of the earth. You do not hear anything about this from anybody. But you're gonna have to hear it from us because I was scared for the longest time to ever talk about this shit. I was terrified. Thinking of it is terrifying. But when I'm seeing the same shit halfway across the world to a degree that is unimaginable, I saw videos of people in Palestine rebuilding like with brick and mortar on the I know, we know what that feels like to have to rebuild from nothing. The emotional toll on top of everything else that I can't fathom. You have to scream about it. You have to scream about it. Nobody ever listened. Now you're gonna fucking listen.